I will make this as clear as possible. My mother had a fund that was supposed to be for both grandchildren. She told me multiple times it was for both of the kids. She also informed the girls that they had money. She passed away unexpectedly. My oldest name, Shelley, was the only one on the fund and it's legally hers. She didn't share it with her sister, Grace, and she has a huge head start in life with it. Due to this money, she's been able to go to college debt-free and will buy a house soon. My husband and I have been scrambling to give as much money as possible to Grace since she really got screwed over. Even with all our help, she still needs to take out student loans. Grace is working while in college and she found a student job that provides free housing. The issue is that she needs a car for it. So my husband and I will buy her a car because turning down this job will result in a ton of extra debt for her. Shelley found out about us getting the car and was angry. She's upset with us favouring Grace and never got a car from us. I pointed out she doesn't need help financially at all. We argued for a while and I had had enough. I told her that if she paid for her sister's college, I would stop favouring her with my money. She called me a jerk and isn't responding. Am I the idiot for telling my daughter if she pays for her sister's college, then I will stop favouring her sister with my money? Edit. According to my mother's partner, she had the money together to build it up more and was going to split it, $460,000, when my oldest went to college. She died before that. We've discussed it multiple times. Shelley was 17 when she got her inheritance. It had a block, so I couldn't touch it, which was fine. It was supposed to be for the girls. We thought she would just be kind and split it with her sister. She didn't, and it basically messed up her relationship with the family. As she puts it, it's hers legally. I don't need to share. Our other option would be to fight her claim, but we didn't have the money for that. She knows we all disapprove of her choice with it, especially since she knows Grandma wanted it shared. They are full sisters and have the same parents. Your eldest was given almost $500,000 and she's complaining you're buying her broke sister a car? Not the idiot. Your older daughter was very selfish not to split the money, knowing it was what her grandmother wanted. It's one thing to keep an inheritance your family member fully intended to be just for you without sharing, but this feels very wrong. I would be disappointed in her, and it would be hard to forgive. I can't imagine this isn't going to destroy a lot of relationships in the family. My jaw hit the floor on that amount. To be quite honest and blunt, Shelley sounds like a complete idiot. I wonder if Grace is aware of this amount. Shelley hit the lottery and is complaining about a used car her sister will get. OP, go tell Shelley she spent her money how she saw fit and didn't honour her grandmother's wishes to share. Now you're going to spend your money how you see fit, and you're doing it to make up for Shelley's greed. Tell her that. $500,000. How have you not disowned or disinherited your daughter? I'd be more proud of a child with a stable job than a rich go-no-contact daughter who'd sell her soul and sister's future for luxury in a family that clearly isn't destitute. And now she whines about her sister getting anything. What a greedy piece of work. Your younger daughter must sue the older one and have you and your husband as witnesses, to all saying it can't be done. It all depends on the state and the probate term limits. Suppose everyone knows Grandma was going to amend the will but passed away. In that case, it's grounds for contesting, but time is sensitive. You raised a thief. I'm amazed she even has your number. I, 28 female, have been with my husband, 28, for 9 years, married for 2 this summer. We have a daughter who's a pre-tween. We rarely even fight, and even if we do, it's been more major and serious things. This, to me, was a minor issue, but it's now turning into the most significant argument we've ever had. So the problem is that my daughter and I love spicy food. I always have, and ever since I felt comfortable with her trying it, she's loved it too. Sure, we couldn't compete in a spice eating contest, and even though our tolerance is high, it's not extreme, but my husband hates it. He's one of those people who thinks spice is unnecessary and only likes to use salt and pepper. This is not a problem. Sometimes I make a batch that suits his taste and another one for our daughter and me. Sometimes our daughter and I will just eat to his liking, as too little spices is easier to handle than too much as it would be for him. Now, this Saturday he was away with friends to pick up some car parts. It was a 12-hour drive and they left at about 9. I went ahead and ordered from an Indian place that our daughter has as her favourite. My husband also likes this place and just orders something mild when we eat from there. Since my husband wasn't home, I didn't order him anything as I thought they would have eaten on the road. When he got home, he greeted us, then immediately went to the fridge and saw some boxes left of food. When he opened them, he noticed he couldn't eat them. Now we argued for just about 5 minutes. The consensus of the argument was him saying that I should have thought about him and ordered him something, or I should have asked him if he'd eaten or wanted anything. I argued that I would have probably done so if it was just for a few hours he was away, but he was away for over 12 hours and came home about 4 hours after we usually eat, so I assumed he'd eaten. Now he's barely talked. He cooked his dinner for himself because, in his words, I can't be bothered. He texted me from the living room when I was cooking for me and our daughter that he hoped I was happy to have my food my way now. He's extremely weird about this. He's never acted this way about something like this, and I'm getting even more confused by it all. Your husband should have told you when he was coming home. He was planning to eat dinner even though he was getting home hours after dinner. Late enough, you would have reasonably thought he would have fed himself somewhere along the road. Not the idiot for not being a mind reader. Any reasonable person would have thought, oh, husband won't be home for dinner, now is a good time for the kid and me to get some hot food. Why didn't you cook? Why didn't you think of me? Why didn't you order me this even though I'm not home? Info. Does he need you to wipe his butt too? What is it with these grown men on here who can't feed themselves? My man would live on Hot Pockets and ramen noodles if I didn't cook, but at least he'd eat. OP, I think your husband seems to have some underlying issue. Maybe he's feeling underappreciated in some respect, in or out of the home, undervalued, or has low self-esteem for some reason. He's making a big deal out of an issue that isn't an issue at all. People only do that when they're holding more than the actual issue in their hearts. Update, we talked this morning and he told me that he just felt forgotten about, and after he ate he was too ashamed to say he was sorry for starting an argument about this. I also apologised for not even texting him and told him I was sorry for hurting him. I also continued the argument without considering his feelings. Everything is great. From now on we will just try to improve our communication. Thanks yet again for the help. I'm 55 years old and I've been married for 35 years. I have one child, a daughter who's 32 years old. I'll call her Alice, and she's been with John for 10 years and married for 4 years. Alice has always wanted children, but they held off for a while to focus on their careers. She recently told us they were going to start trying to get pregnant. I love my daughter and I feel I've always been a good father to her, but I admit she and my wife have always had a special bond. This past weekend we went out to dinner with some friends and had a few drinks. When we got home we had a few glasses of wine. I point this out because my wife rarely drinks, so she's a lightweight. She was tipsy and we were talking about potentially becoming grandparents, and she made a comment about Alice's marriage that caught my attention. She said they've overcome a lot in the marriage, but then stopped herself and didn't continue. This made me curious because they'd only been married for 4 years and I wasn't aware of any roadblocks they'd encountered. Not that they share everything with us. I pressed her on what she meant, and finally she confessed that 1 year into the marriage, my daughter cheated. I should now point out that when I was a lot younger, I was with someone who cheated on me. I have zero tolerance for cheaters due to that, so I might be biased. John is also like a son to me and my wife. She asked me not to say anything and this confused me. When she said they had overcome a lot and I found out what happened, I assumed John eventually found out and they worked through it. But no, all she meant was that Alice grew as a person and became a better wife. I didn't push her any further, I let her go to bed. I hadn't had as much to drink, so I stayed up all night thinking. I decided then and there that either my daughter would have to confess or I would tell John. Not only does he have a right to know, but I would never be able to interact with him normally knowing this secret. I do love my daughter and I also worry about the potential fallout because she's trying to get pregnant. What if John finds out after the child is born? I feel like he had a right to know. I would not keep it a secret if I found out John cheated on her. The next day was Sunday and I knew I needed to talk to my daughter. My wife was against this, but I did end up having her come over the next day. It did not go well. First, she blew up at her mother for telling me. Then she yelled at me when I told her either she should confess or I was telling John. She said it was none of my business, etc. I disagreed. John is part of the family. She said I would destroy her life if I did this, she'd hate me, etc. She stormed out. Well, I did tell John, and the fallout is tremendous. John packed his bags and left the home the next day. He's apparently refusing to try counselling and intends to pursue divorce. Everyone hates me, my daughter hates me, and my wife is also not my wife. All our family members say I overstepped. I've spoken to some of my friends and they said I blew up my relationship with my daughter over this. The only one showing me any kindness was John, who thanked me for telling him. My wife isn't on my side. I suspect this is because she was hoping for grandchildren. We both were. I just feel like I didn't blow up their relationship. Alice is the one who cheated and lied. I love her to death, and now I wonder if I made the right choice. Should I have just kept this to myself? I have always been friendly with John, and we have dinner with them at least once a month, not including holidays or birthdays. I know I couldn't interact normally around him, so what should I have done? Ban them both from my home without explanation? Never go to their home again? And if they have children, my wife will definitely want us over there more often, so I don't think I could hide this. I suck at poker, I just can't fake it. So, should I have kept quiet? And I guess also, am I wrong for being upset my wife isn't on my side? OP? Morally, you did the right thing. Personally, your daughter might never forgive you. Heck, your wife might not either. You did what was best for John, but with everything in life, there's the other shoe. By doing the best for John, 2 other people fell in pain. They may deserve it, but you must live with the fallout. You mean pain that they themselves caused. OP didn't cheat, daughter did. Though OP may have alienated most people in his life, the secret would have eaten him alive. Even without him revealing this secret, this may have come out eventually many years after too many drinks. John would have been more devastated after knowing everyone was keeping this secret. Honestly, I'd be wondering if there's anything else your wife has been hiding. How could she look at your son-in-law and spend time with him knowing your daughter had cheated and not feel bad? Because we usually have a hierarchy of people in our life. If you have children, they usually are your number one in the world. As a consequence, people will always prioritize them against the in-laws. OP's an idiot. The daughter did wrong, no doubt. But the mother cared and cares more about her than about the cheating. OP has destroyed the relationship of the mother with her daughter. So, yes, most parents would be more furious about this than about the son or daughter having cheated. This is a moral hill OP decided to die on, but I think it's very likely it will cost him his marriage. It is a very real possibility. My wife Sarah, 28, and I, male 30, have been married for 5 years. She's incredible, loving, and my favorite person in the world. Now, my entire family has a tradition of learning and speaking French. It's always been a fun way for us to bond. However, for Sarah, it's been a challenge. Sarah has tried for years to pick up the language, but due to her dyslexia, she's found it extremely difficult. It's been a great source of frustration and insecurity for her, especially when we're around my family who like to speak French with each other. My niece, nearly adult, Eva, is staying with us for a while. She speaks English and French too, and understandably speaks a lot of French around the house. While I understand it's just normal for her, it's been a bit upsetting for Sarah. She feels excluded from our conversations, and she started trying to brush up on it, but it's just stressing her out and hitting a nerve. Given the situation, I approached Eva and asked if she could try to speak more English around my wife. I explained that it wasn't about controlling her choices, but helping Sarah feel more comfortable and included in our conversations. Unfortunately, Eva didn't take it well. She accused me of prioritizing Sarah's difficulties over her comfort. She claimed that I was asking her to suppress her identity. I'm not sure if I handled it the right way. Am I the idiot for asking Eva to stop speaking French around Sarah? Edit, my wife and I live a few hours away from the rest of our family. Eva has just moved in with us for work opportunities. French is just a tradition everyone sort of learns from birth. We are Australian, and speaking French is just for fun in the family. My grandparents learned French and then passed it on to my mom and her siblings, then myself, my siblings and cousins, and now all their kids. Info: in what way is speaking French a part of Eva's identity? Is your family actually French, or have you just been taking a lot of French courses over the years? We are Australian, speaking French is just for fun. The niece is the idiot. Exactly. Your niece is deliberately inconsiderate by excluding your wife in a language your wife struggles with. You should have a conversation with your niece about being welcome in your home, and you would hate to see that welcome compromised by her insistence on making your wife uncomfortable. Remind her she's a guest of you and your wife, and a guest is only welcome till they cause a problem for the hosts. She needs to understand that being a guest means making sure that her presence isn't a burden on her hosts, and you wouldn't like to see her needing to find a different accommodation. Tell her you will always prioritize your wife and her comfort will never come first. Speaking French is optional, and to her comfort, as she can converse in English easily, but your wife can't easily converse in French. There's one flaw with your strategy. She's a nearly grown woman. If she was capable of understanding what you're telling OP to explain, she probably wouldn't need that in-depth explanation to start. It sounds more like she's just a brat who doesn't like being told what to do. Just have to hope she outgrows it.